What's up, guys? Welcome to video 2 of the influence series. I talked about in the last video of, is the world influencing you or are you influencing the world? And I talked about there's two spheres of influence. One, you have the external influence, which is how do I walk into a room and say the right thing at the right time, and how do I say it, the body language, the eye contact, the tonality on how to express myself to actually go in and influence people. So if you're in business or sales, or you want to influence your kid on going to sleep on time or whatever it may be, those are the skills you would use. There's one part of the sphere that's a little more important than external influence, and I would argue the external influence doesn't even work without the second sphere, which is the internal influence, the internal world. It's how do I talk to me? What do I believe? These different concepts of how do I actually influence me? Because who's the most important person to influence? Yourself. Can you give somebody something you don't have? Nope, not possible. So if you're not fully convicted walking to a sales presentation or going to convince your buddy on where you should go eat, are you going to win that conversation? Are you going to get the outcome that you're looking to get out of it? No way, right? So I want to break down, what is a belief? How does it work? Why is this important? Okay, and I'm going to give you some examples throughout this video. This was the number one takeaway. I invested $80,000 into my personal development, going to masterminds, events, seminars, networking groups, coaching programs, books, everything. And this is the number one most important skill that I learned. And if you pay attention in this video, it will reshape your entire life, I promise you. So stay tuned till the end, okay? But once accepted, our beliefs become unquestioned commands, not suggestions, commands to our nervous system. And they have the power to expand or to destroy the possibilities of our present and our future. I'm going to give you an example of this, how your beliefs literally shape your world. Because right now, if you're struggling in life in any realm, right, whether it's like, hey, I need to quit this thing, but I don't know how to quit it, I'm going to teach you that in this video. Hey, I want to change my relationship in this aspect. How do I change it? I want to like me when I look in the mirror. When I wake up, I want to be fired up for the day. This is all about self-influence. This is about influencing you so you can go in and make the impact you want to make. Have you ever heard of a guy named Roger Bannister? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. In 1954, nobody in the world, in the history of time, ever ran a mile under 4 minutes. Ever. Wasn't possible. Scientists actually did a study, and they said your heart and your body would explode before you would ever get to the speed that you could run a 4-minute mile. You would die. It's not physically possible. And that was the universal belief until a guy named Roger Bannister decided it wasn't. Internally, he started telling himself, I'm going to be the first person to run a 4-minute mile. I'm going to do it. And he would envision himself with his coach, and he would envision 3-minute and 59-second mile, 3-minute 59-second, 3-minute 59-second. What do you think he did? After a few months of visualizing, years of running, making it happen, doing what I call results in advance, seeing it happen in his mind before it ever happened, influencing the external world, because your internal belief system, your inner world is so powerful. And I'm going to talk about external influence through this series, but if you don't get this piece down, none of the other stuff matters. I'm in the sales training industry, and I see people get scripts and frameworks and overcome objections, and all of that stuff does not matter if you don't believe in you. And you might say, well, Austin, I'm not in sales. Yes, you are. Do you sell yourself on if you're going to have a good day or a bad day? Yep. Do you sell other people on if they're going to like you or not? Yep. Do you sell your boss on giving you a pay raise? Yes. Every single person, maybe your title isn't sales, but you're all in the world of influence. And it's the most important skill if you're looking to change something in your life. Roger Bannister decided, I'm going to make this happen, and then boom, he does it. But that's not even the crazy part. The crazy part of the Roger Bannister story about him being the first person in 1954 to run a 4-minute mile, 3 minutes and 59 seconds, is after that, once the world saw it is possible, guess what happened? 17 people did it within months of him doing it. You're like, Austin, hold up, what? Yeah, nobody does it in the history of humanity, thousands of years, and then one guy does it. What do you think changed? Do you think our physical bodies evolved and changed? Probably not in a span of months. You think he developed a new technique? No, it's because they saw that the universal belief shifted. They knew it was possible for them. So 17 people went out and did it. And I'm going to give you an example, because that's shaping the impossible into the possible through belief systems. Your belief systems can also control your life in a negative way, very negative way. like a mental prison is what we'll call it. Have you ever heard the story of the elephant and the rope? Okay, because circuses back in the early 1900s, they would want to control an elephant, right? Because once this thing turns into a 10,000 pound behemoth, what happens if it's uncontrolled running amok? Well, you're probably going to get stomped, trampled, and die. So we can't have that. So what do? We got to somehow control it. But can we physically control an elephant? We can bench 300 pounds. The elephant can step down 20,000 pounds. No way. We're going to get crushed. So you can't physically control it. So how do you control a huge behemoth monster? Psychologically. Beliefs. So what they would do is when the elephant was a little baby, they would tie a rope around its neck, about this thick, nothing crazy. So the baby elephant would walk and try to tug, and the rope would pull it back. And it would tug and pull it back, and tug and pull it back. And after enough times of it trying to move and being constrained by the rope, the elephant gave up. It's a concept in psychology that we call learned helplessness. You see it all over the place. You see people settle for minimum wage. You see people say, I'm not cut out for that. I can't do that. That's not possible for me. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to analyze yourself and ask yourself, if you're the elephant, what is the rope on you? What is the leash that's been placed on you? And by the way, I'm not blaming you for having that. A lot of times it's not your fault. You've been programmed since you were 5, 6 years old to believe all of these different things. And if you came from a middle class, a low class family, you probably have a very low class mindset unless you've done a lot of work like this video right here, right now, to change some of these beliefs. I want you to just stop for a second and think, what is my biggest limiting belief? And I've coached thousands of people these last few years, and I've learned a lot of times it's a fear of failure, a fear of success, a fear of what if I try and it doesn't work, a fear of embarrassment. And this was programmed into you since you were very, very young. And I want you to ask yourself, what is a belief? You know what a belief is? I want you to write this down. A belief is a feeling of certainty about something. That's all it is. And this is the difference, because there's levels of belief. You have like an opinion, which is not very convicted. It's not a strong feeling of certainty about a belief. You just kind of, yeah, I guess that could be true. Hey, do you think your favorite sports team is going to win tomorrow? Yeah, maybe. Do you think you could go and achieve this? Yeah, I think so. A lot of people have opinions. They're not very certain, and they don't even know why they believe what they believe. That's programming. I talked a little bit about that in the last video. I'm breaking down how this happens, okay? Because it's conditioning and it's programming. So the more certain you are about something, the more it gets convicted and locked into your nervous system where you know it to be true. We have a pastor, Pastor Travis Hearn. He runs Impact Church here in Scottsdale, and on stage in front of 1,000 entrepreneurs down at our event in Florida, he is so convicted that Jesus Christ is his Lord and Savior that he said, if I was challenged life or death, I would let them saw my head off slowly. Is that conviction? Or is that a belief? Or is that an opinion? That is full conviction. This is how you get conviction, okay? It's because of a thing called references. I have a table right here in front of me, okay? This table has 1, 2, 3, 4 legs. That's what's holding the table up. And what's cool about that is I could jump on the table and it would stay. But what happens if I rip one of these legs off and then I jump on the table? Whoop, this table's gonna fall over. What happens if I take off another leg? Well, it's just gonna fall immediately from gravity. And a third leg, even weaker. Fourth leg, this thing is on the ground. It has no power, no structure, no foundation. It's the same thing with your beliefs. So how can you actually develop a belief, gain conviction, gain certainty? Well, we just need more legs. We need more support, because if this table had 100 legs underneath it and I put 1,000 pound weight on it, would it hold? Yes, it would. 2,000 pound weight. Yup. What if we stacked more legs, titanium legs, and we strengthened and strengthened and strengthened it and conditioned it? That's the same with your beliefs. So how do you do that? Well, there's two ways. One is intensity of your belief. If you're trying to develop a belief, I'm worth $1 million. I know I can make $1 million this year. Okay, the more intense that you're locking that into your nervous system, the more references that you have to do it. What are some references? Well, I saw that Andy Elliott guy do it. I could do it too. You know what? There's that other kid that's my age that can do it too. You start seeing it, and this is why your circle and your environment literally shapes you, because it's developing these beliefs and you're getting legs. You're either gonna have legs and references of I'm not good enough, I'm not worth it, there's no point of trying because I'm gonna fail, learned helplessness, I'm a victim, or you're gonna develop legs and we're going to break the other table, the crappy one. We're going to break the legs off of it. This is what we call killing limiting beliefs. And then we're going to build a new table. This is what the total recreation process is. If you're like, dude, I don't like my life, build a new one. Design a new one. You are in charge. Nobody's in charge except you. That is the beautiful piece of this. It's like you built a prison and you don't even know that you're the warden and the creator of it, and you just got to unlock the freaking key. This is the key. This is the belief. Every single thing in your life, your bank account, the physical fitness you're in, your health, the relationships you have, the way you feel when you wake up, and the passion you have about life is all developed from your beliefs. You've designed them, or they've been designed for you by someone else, and you accepted it as truth. You need to start questioning, what is true? What do I want to be true? How do I create that? We're building the table right now. Ask yourself, what is a new belief I want? Is it to make $1 million? Is it to get in the best shape ever? Is it to get healthy? Is it to attract my ideal partner? Well, what are the references that you can find to see if it's possible? The crazy thing about these beliefs and these references is, you might say, Austin, I don't have any. Neither did Roger Bannister. I had none. Who did it before Roger? Nobody. He had legs and references it wasn't possible, so what did he have to do? He had to create results in advance. Your mind does not know the difference if you're visualizing it or if you're experiencing it in what we call reality. When he programmed his subconscious mind to believe it is possible and I'm gonna do it, boom, he did it. This isn't just positive thinking crap. This is proof right here. You might say, Austin, I don't want to go sit there on the couch and manifest and not take any action. I'm not saying to do that. When you're more convicted in a belief, you're more likely to take the action to go get the results to change your freaking future, shape your destiny. If somebody's fully convicted, they can go and achieve this goal, and somebody's not, who's more likely to take the actions to get it, and who's actually going to go get it? How do I get rid of a belief that, like, I identified, okay, I've been listening to you, I identified a negative belief that, money is evil, and I don't want that in my life anymore. I'd say, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to tell you some beliefs that I shifted in my life. For years, I struggled with smoking weed. For probably 7 years of my life, I would wake up every day. It was the first thing I would do. It was my escape. When my parents split up and I was broke and I was hanging around my buddies, that was like my escape. And I leaned on it as a crutch for a while because I could give myself pleasure in one moment without having to do hard work, without having to get uncomfortable, without having to stretch myself or have pressure. I could just escape right then and there. It was the easiest thing that I could do. So I reinforced that in my nervous system, where it got to the point where I would tell myself I'm gonna quit because I found out it was no longer serving me. And I didn't like it anymore. I didn't like where it was leading me. And I couldn't stop because I trained it so well in my nervous system that it would give me pleasure. I didn't see the pain, right? And I'm gonna teach you how I shifted this to get it out of my life. But first, Tony Robbins explains how to do this, and it's my favorite analogy. It's my favorite story on how you can actually make it happen, because think of the movie A Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge. If you've seen it or you haven't, I'm going to give you a quick recap of what it is. There's this old man, and he is very wealthy, and he's also very lonely. And the reason he's lonely is because he created an association in his mind that if he worked hard and he stayed away from everybody, he would be very rich. So he learned being mean to people and working hard made him rich, which made him have pleasure. But he didn't realize all the harm he was doing in his life until 3 very, very powerful motivators showed up in his life. The ghost of Christmas past, ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future. So in the past, they showed him all the times, all the memories, all the moments that he didn't even realize he was hurting people around him and hurting himself. So he started having pain to change. He was reassociating his past of how it was harming him. In the present, same thing. And then it showed him if he didn't change, what his life was going to look like and how much more miserable, lonely, and dark his life would be if he kept these patterns in his life without changing them. You think he was motivated after that? Yeah. He had so much pain, the fear of his future staying the same was heavier than the fear of changing. So he changed. This is the same with influencing ourselves. So when I learned this and I wanted to quit smoking weed and I just felt like I was a slave to it, I couldn't do it, and I didn't like me on it, but I couldn't quit. I felt helpless It was like learned helplessness. It was my leash. It was one of them for sure. And the way I got rid of it was I wrote down on a piece of paper. I grabbed my piece of paper, I grabbed my pen, and I wrote down, how has this affected me, this bad habit? How has it affected me socially? Well, I would get shy at parties. I wouldn't communicate well. I wasn't very confident. I would overthink situations a lot. How did it affect me financially? Well, if I put that $10,000 over the years of doing it into the stock market, I would probably have 6 figures in my bank account. But because I didn't do that, I was blowing it on entertainment and escapism, I was broke, right? That was painful. Then I would write down, okay, what does it do to me physically? Well, I'm sleepier, I don't have a sleep schedule, and I wrote down this huge laundry list of just pain of what I didn't like about it. And I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize I was dealing with this. It was like death by 1,000 paper cuts. It was like the frog that's boiled in the water. You don't even know you're cooking until it's too late. That's how I was, and that's how most people, if you look around, they are the frog in the water. They're slowly amping up the heat, and they're moving towards death every single day, and they don't even know it. I was that. That was me in many areas of my life, but this was a big one. And this is something I unlocked, that I was taught to unlock, that freed me forever. Whenever I wrote that list down, I said, okay, how is it affecting me now? And I asked those questions and I found those answers. And then I asked a really important question. What happens if I don't change that bad habit? If I don't get that thing out of my life, if I don't quit smoking weed and I don't quit wasting my money and I don't develop the habits that I want over the next 5 years? That hurt. I start reading it. I start looking at this list and I start painting this future vision of almost a nightmare, right? And I sat there and I looked at it and it really bothered me. And then I flipped the piece of paper over and I wrote down, okay, what happens if I do cut out this bad habit? 5 years from now, what does my life look like then? Well, I probably would be a lot more social, which would lead to more friendships, relationships. Maybe I would find a girlfriend or something, which I definitely didn't have at the time. Maybe I would not cheat on my diet so much and be eating donuts at 3 a.m. because I wasn't having the munchies. Maybe I would actually get in the best shape of my life. Maybe that money that I was using towards that stuff, I could put into growing myself or investing or having a nicer car. And I start painting out this vision that like made me feel really good. And I did the simplest thing in my life. I looked at the nightmare on this side and I looked at the dream on this side. And I decided which one I wanted. Boom. And it was so freeing that it literally brought me to tears. And I started crying because for the first time in my life, since I started smoking weed, I felt free. And I cut it out of my life and I haven't done it since. And I'm very proud of that. Not that it's evil or the worst thing ever. I'm not saying any of that, but I realized it wasn't serving me anymore and it was holding me back in a lot of areas of my life. I went through a very similar thing with porn, with drinking, with the wrong people around me at some points in my life, with video games, all of these things that if I was investing that time into like what I'm doing now and sharing the stories of what I've learned since I made that change years ago, where I could read more books and I could learn about beliefs and I could learn about Roger Bannister and the elephant and the rope and all of these different things, the pain and pleasure model of how you can change these. And then I could go and help people. I mean, man, I can't describe to you how much more fulfilling my life became since I just made that decision. And I would urge you, please don't just watch this video. If you made it to the end, you're a freaking savage. I love it. And you're actually going to go do something about this. Don't just skip to the next video. Please stop the video right after it's over. Write down, what is the thing that you want to cut out? What is the thing that just you haven't had quite enough pain to change? And write it out. And then write what happens once you get it out of your life. I want to see some of these too. I would love to see that these videos that I'm making are actually making an impact in your life. So text my cell phone if you decided to make that change, or if you're struggling with making that change. My number is 404-625-7675. I appreciate you watching this. I'll see you in the next video. Let's go.